Everybody, this is Mark and Carl. They are with the City of Raleigh. They are our small business economic development team, and they're going to be telling us a little bit about their new and free to use small business insights tool, as well as programs that the city offers to small business owners and business owners in general. So I'll let you all take it away.
All right, I think we're ready to go. Thank you all for joining. This is a great opportunity. Thank you for inviting us in to speak. I spent a fair amount of years in the world of Shop Local Raleigh, and I can say that the city of Raleigh government was rarely a resource that we thought about for small business support. And now that I'm here, my goal is to change that. So we've been working very hard on a lot of resources over the last 12 months. Carl is part of a team that we are coming up on our one-year team in place celebration tomorrow, actually. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to show you some of these tools today and some of the other resources that you may or may not be familiar with from the City of Raleigh. And I understand we're recording, so that way if folks are missing it today, we can still catch you on a, I guess, recorded version of the same thing. So I guess without any further ado, I'm going to jump into a PowerPoint presentation, let Carl do that part of the presentation to sort of explain how we fit into the world of the city government and how we glue into the small business development or small business community, and then we'll go into some of the resources and then the tool. How does that sound? So far, so good? All right, let's do it. Now, let's see if I can figure out how to share screen. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Uh-oh. Now we're in trouble. So I will email a copy of the presentation or the PowerPoint to Sarah, I guess.
Actually, Sarah can do it from her admin, give you rights to do that.
That's even easier.
Yeah. Sarah, did you hear that?
Yeah, she's having trouble hearing. Is there a chat somewhere? Let's see, chat. All right, let's try that. All right. Just let me know when it's ready.
Is your host now?
I'm a host now.
Yep. It
Look
says
at
you're a
that.
host.
All right. Okay. And you'll see the screen okay there. Let me. Let's do that. All righty. Now, can you see the chartware okay? I hope. How do I get rid of this? You can try to remove. No. All right. Okay, now we can let Carl take it away. With the content. Okay, and you just tell me, yeah, you can go ahead and.
Right. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. As Mark mentioned, my name is Carl Brooks. One of the newer members to the team, Small Business Development. As you can see, we are the Small Business Development Unit here with the City of Raleigh. I'll just jump straight into it. So some of our economic development priorities obviously would be small business support, kind of what I lead. Next would be small business retention and expansion, micro enterprise and home-based entrepreneurship, and workforce development. These are some of the priorities that we work under on a daily basis. So diving straight into the minutia. So some of this is kind of like a brief overview of all that we do in totality, or not totality, so excuse me. Some of our programs are the Building Update Grant, which I am the administrator over. We currently have our first quarter of the fiscal year of 2024 going now. The level 1 application cycle ended this past Sunday, in which we're still kind of vetting all of our applicants. We also are going to be offering the facade improvement grant. It's coming soon. We had a little hiccup here with the team, but we still plan to enable that one here soon, hopefully at the earliest by the end of this year. And some of our partners that we are actually in communication with on a weekly, daily, monthly, are some of our alliances, the Chamber of Commerce, and also some of our economic support organizations. Hold on, let me move this. And some of our resources that we're actually very proud of are the Small Business Resource Guide. I like to call that our Small Business Bible because it has a lot of great information in there for small businesses, both internally and externally with the city. Something that's fairly new is our small business startup roadmaps. We currently have one for the food truck, I believe, or the restaurant, excuse me, restaurants that are currently effective now. Looking to expand that. Next would be the food truck. And of course, this is just like a step-by-step process on how, small businesses can start either the food truck or start within the restaurant business. Let's see, to go into more detail. Like I said, I am the administrator of the Building Upfit Grant, in which the Building Upfit Grant is a reimbursable grant up to the $25,000. We have it broken down by priority and non-priority areas, in which the overall goal of this would be to upfit or renovate the interior of a small business, typically with a brick and mortar here within the city limits of Raleigh. We do have here our YouTube example for 321 Coffee. They're right off of Hillsborough Street. They were literally this was literally the first small business that the team actually went to go visit on our first day or first week here. So as an example, the Business Upfit Grant also helped businesses within the Morgan Street Food Hall. And as you can see, the 321 example. So feel free, this PowerPoint presentation should be available to you all. But also this video here for 321 is kind of like a testimonial. It's also on the Small Business Division webpage from the City of Raleigh. So you can view that anytime. As you can see, it's a YouTube link, so feel free to search. As mentioned, we currently have our cycle going on now for the Building Upfit Grant, in which, like I said, it closed as of last Sunday. And we will be notifying all of our awardees as of August 4th. This is a quarterly grant in which it is allotted $125,000 each quarter. So as you can see, totally for the annual would be $500,000. Small businesses, they can be ranged from within the priority area from $5,000 to up to $25,000 in reimbursement grant funding. Like I said, this is priority. Any business outside of the priority can go from $5,000 to up to $15,000. So we believe that these are very beneficial. We've actually heard that they're very beneficial. So this is a great program. To base all of our priority and non-priority areas for businesses, this map was provided to us by our planning department a while back. So in the green shaded areas, This is the priority area in which I mentioned are available for up to $25,000 in reimbursable funds. Any business located outside of that green area would be, of course, allotted that up to $15,000. So let's see, next one, some of our partners. As you can see, we have Shop Local Raleigh here. This is our citywide, in which we are partnering with small businesses to try to spread the word, as well as resources to as many small businesses as possible. So like I said, Shop Local Raleigh, Black Dollar, Prospera, Triangle Artworks, things of that nature. And we're also partnering with many of the districts here around the city. Downtown Raleigh Alliance, which is literally right down the street from our office. Hillsborough Street, Midtown, Glenwood South, and we should put an asterisk here by, we should put an asterisk here by our Southeast Raleigh Business Alliance. We're currently in the works for this to establish this here on the south side of the city, southeast portion of the city. So be on the lookout for that. Excuse me. And here are all some of our entrepreneurial support for small business support partners as well. Wake Tech Small Business Center, SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives, Prospera again, state and federal partners, including the North Carolina Economic Development Agency, as well as our North Carolina Department of Commerce, SBA, Women's Business Center. So we're here partnering with a lot of different organizations to spread the word for these small businesses, to let them know that the City of Raleigh is here to provide as much as possible. Not only just funding opportunities, but also just resources, which goes into our next slide. As mentioned, this is kind of what our startup maps would look like. This right here, this was generated by one of our coworkers here. And we're really hanging our hat on the business resource guide. Because like I said, this here it provides many different resources for small businesses. They can both resources from within the city as well as externally, go back to our partners like SBA, SCORE, things of that nature, all into a compact booklet. And we also have it available online on the City of Raleigh website, Small Business Division. Roadmaps, we're still trying to expand that. Like I mentioned, we currently have one for the restaurants, expanding next into the food truck industry, as well as, you know, we provide 24/7 small business resources here. If you have any questions or just need assistance for your small businesses within your area, feel free to reach out to us. As mentioned, we do have additional startup roadmaps coming. And if you like to stay up to date with this, here is a direct link to our small business webpage here. We also ask if you'd like to stay up to date with you know, some of the initiatives that we have going on, please, you know, sign up for our Gov Delivery email subscription. That will give you a weekly, if not daily, reminder of what's going on around the city and also things that we have coming. If you're into social media, in which some people we do understand aren't necessarily, we're on Twitter at Raleigh Gov. This is our newly formed hashtag here. So if you search just COR Small Biz, anything that we've posted on Twitter should populate here for you, as well as connect with us on Facebook at facebook.com/Raleigh Gov, excuse me. And we would just like to say thank you. And I thought I had right in there, but
Okay. All right. Thank you, Carl. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share there. And we're going to go over to we're going to go to a web page, but first I need to get to it. Go ahead and share.
yeah, it's paused.
All right, it's paused. Now.
Hey, Mark, I'm trying to help troubleshoot here. Do you need What can I help you with?
I am going to share the small business support screen.
Okay, cool. I just didn't know if we needed to do anything on our end.
No, it's I'm out of practice on Zoom.
Well, so welcome to the club.
There it is. There it is.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, cool.
I was a lot better at this during the pandemic when we had no choice. But anyway, so like Carl was describing, we have a bunch of resources. So I thought it would be useful to, show you live where anybody can find this kind of information all the time. So this is our small business support page. So the easiest way to find it is just raleighnc.gov, and then just search for small business. And then this is the first link that'll pop up. It'll have a little intro, I guess, text there. We're actually working to develop that out a little bit. I'll show you the resource guide in just a moment, but the most important part on this page is if you scroll down, there's a bunch of these what we call green tiles, and they have a lot of the different resources here. So the Building Upfit Grant program that Carl was talking about, there's a landing page for that includes the brochure, some FAQ, how to use the grant, how to apply, how to qualify, most important, the calendar of dates, the map that Carl was showing you, the video, all of that stuff is right there on the Building Upfit Grant page. Business alliances. This is the home for the various business alliances who we work with. It shows you a kind of a footprint of where they all operate in the city. And then underneath, you'll see different descriptions of the different organizations. Obviously, Shop Local Raleigh is part of this page, along with the district-oriented sites. I'm not going to read all this to you. I just want to give you a flavor of what all you can find on our small business homepage. The startup roadmaps, as Carl was explaining, are also here. We're all the way up to 1 now for restaurants, but we are working on more to come. Food trucks is next. The one after that will likely be retail, and probably some services after that. So the idea for the roadmap is, I'll just go ahead and click on it and show you what's inside of there. I'm assuming you can still follow along. It'll have different steps of planning the business, planning the location. And this is not just off the shelf stuff. The Small Business Administration actually has a pretty nice startup roadmap resource on their website, but that's designed by the federal government. So they can't get to the level of granularity that a business would need to operate in the city of Raleigh. So this one that we've created talks more specifically about the development ordinance, the local permitting and districts and what have you that you have to worry about. It talks about the different regulations. We started with restaurants intentionally because that's one of the more complicated models, because you're dealing with City of Raleigh permits, you're dealing with Wake County Health Department regulations, you're dealing with state ABC through the county ABC boards. So if you can figure out restaurants, you could probably figure out most other business models. But anyway, it's just sort of a step-by-step map of what a new business would involve. And then under each of the sections, you can drill into more detail. Let's see, where were we? Green tiles. Business disaster recovery tools. I will tell you, this one is not very complete at this point, but it does have some useful city-wide resources for planning for disasters. It's really designed for both businesses and for residents. And it is hurricane season now. So just to let you know, this is in here. Over time, we do expect to add some additional business-centric items in there about best practices, what a business should try to keep track of if there is a disaster, contact lists, crucial documents, things like that. So stay tuned, more to come on that one, but we at least have a placeholder for it. We have a business site selection resource. So most of the businesses inside of Shop Local Raleigh are already established. You're already someplace, but just know that we do have an online resource that has available commercial properties, and it's not it's a third-party application, and honestly, I don't use it very much because most calls we get are from established businesses, but just know that the resource is there. Back. We have some of our reports here. We'll be putting our annual report out for the fiscal year that just ended June 30th. We'll go here. That took a long time, but anyway, you can see we have some prior year economic development reports there. Entrepreneurial small business organizations. These are super useful to know. So these are a bunch of organizations. Most of them are free to use by small businesses. The EDPNC Small Business Advisors, Carl mentioned the old Business Link, Business Line NC, I think was the old acronym for it. It's think of it as a 1-800 line that if you're just getting started out and you have basic questions about, should I set up as an LLC? Should I, how do I register with the Secretary of State? They're a really good resource for the quick questions. The Wake Tech Small Business Center is focused on micro enterprises, so businesses 10 or less. That's their sweet spot, and they're pretty good with startup advice as well. Small Business and Technology Development Center, they're based out of NC State Centennial Campus. They are a partner of the United States Small Business Administration. They are their strength is really businesses that have been operating for maybe 3 or 4 years, that have a little bit of a track record, but are really looking for advice to take it to the next level, squeezing more margin out of the business, increasing profitability, expanding customer access, what have you. If you're not familiar with that organization, highly recommended. And again, free of cost. It's a taxpayer supported. So if you do have questions, large or small, they might be a great resource to get you pointed in the right direction. Let's see, we've got the SBA we talked about. They are also the federal organization that is the I guess the backstop for commercial lending for small businesses. You all are probably familiar with them, but just know that that's certainly one of the partner organizations we work with here. Launch Raleigh is also out of Wake Tech, which is designed as an incubation type of program for startup businesses. And then there's a whole bunch of other ones that are listed on the page. So again, don't need to memorize all that. Just know that we have that available on our small business development page. The facade grant, as Carl says, is coming soon. We are still working on retooling that so it's more compatible with the Building Up the Grant program. We have a tile for incubators and co-working spaces. So if you're a home-based business and you're not quite ready to sign a lease on a bricks and mortar, there's different organizations that take care of startup, whether it's just a desk or a place that requires warehousing like loading dock. If there's a community interest aspects of it, there are lots and lots of organization there as well. Where are we? Permits and licenses. This takes you to where planning and development has a lot of the more detailed requirements around a lot of the different types of businesses. And of course, I guess in big print, buried way down here, is City of Raleigh doesn't have just a general business license. We used to a long time ago. We get that question all the time, but that of course is all gone now. And let's see, small business event calendar. This is new. We're just getting this going with our Business Alliance community, including Shop Local Raleigh. As you can see, the first calendar entry is the Tech Tuesdays. And then this would go to a description of what the event is, a link to sign up. It's pretty Spartan, but anyway, the goal is to have it so a small business owner or a business alliance for that matter or anyone of interest can go to this calendar and find networking events, training events, large public like expo festivals where there's vendor opportunities, what have you. So this will develop into a much more fully featured resource. We just got it off the ground about 4 weeks ago, and we are getting it populated now. So just know that that's there. And then finally, the Small Business Insights tool that we have just launched about a month ago is on this tile here. And that takes you to the web portal that has the entryway. So before I get too much farther into it, I'm not going to unshare it, so I'm not doing anything clumsy, but let me just listen. Are there any questions so far about any of the resources that we've showed you so far, or how to find them?
Yeah, I'd like to know what your boundaries are. I am right across the line in Johnston County, and I do most of my business in Raleigh, and I am a home-based business. So what kind of things are or not available to me?
Okay, that's a great question. So certainly when it comes to financial stuff, the taxpayers of the city of Raleigh frown on us giving money to people that are not in the city of Raleigh. So financially, there would need to be a business that is actually located inside the city limits for financial support. Now, all these other resources, many of the resources that we've been talking about today are often beyond the limits of the city of Raleigh. I guess at the most micro level, if you're talking about a business alliance like 5 Points Business Alliance, they have a very small footprint. Then you get to a larger one like Downtown Raleigh Alliance, that's going to be the central business district and then some. Then you get to countywide organizations like Shop the Local Raleigh that would cover not only Raleigh, but Apex and Cary and Holly Springs and Knightdale and so on and so forth. Black Dollar also covers the entire county and Eastern North Carolina. And then the entrepreneurial support organizations we were telling you about, like Wake Tech. I guess Wake Tech would technically be inside Wake County, but the Small Business and Technology Development Center, they have a regional approach. So they cover, I don't know whether it's your county exactly, but it's multiple counties in Eastern North Carolina. I suspect yours is one of them. Small Business Administration obviously is everybody. So I guess the resources that we can provide would be ones that if you are doing most of your business in Raleigh, let me go ahead and just pull up the resource guide itself. You know, there's no law that says you're not allowed to read the City of Raleigh business resource guide, and there's going to be parts that apply to you and parts that do not. But you know, if you're starting a business inside the city limits, this is going to have information for you. If it's outside the city limits, I can't speak for what kind of requirements you're going to have in your local jurisdiction. Same thing with permits and all that kind of stuff. When you get down to the site selection, the tool, that site selection tool I showed you, I believe that goes beyond the City of Raleigh limits. These are grants. Commute Smart Raleigh may have some aspects that are in surrounding counties, because obviously part of the equation with surrounding counties is the commute into Raleigh for people that work in the city or even in the surrounding areas. And then there's a bunch of information in the resource guide about access to capital. I can guarantee you just about all of these organizations are if not countywide, statewide, or then some. The business alliances, like I say, some of them are out, they go beyond the limits of the City of Raleigh. Even ironically, the Raleigh Chamber of Commerce actually covers all of Wake County that way. Entrepreneurial programs are probably mostly inside of the city or the county, although some of them are setting up outposts in other counties. These are the grants we talked about. These are statewide grants, but they're honestly for a much bigger type of economic development. And then these are your organizations. So all the stuff that we step through on our webpage, I'm just going to scroll and just give you a flavor of what all is in here. This is all in the business resource guide. It's a PDF. You can print it out. We have hard copies here as well that we try to share at least a good handful of these copies back with partners like Shop Local Raleigh. So let's see. I hope that answered that question. Is that kind of what you were looking for?
Yeah. And Mark, what's Prospera? What is that?
Prospera is a business alliance that is focused on Spanish-speaking business owners.
Okay.
So they are doing a lot of the same kind of support services that most business alliances do, with the additional task of being able to converse in Spanish and host Spanish events and do translating services.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before I jump into the Small Business Insights tool? All right. Well, let's keep on going then. So here's the landing page. Like I showed, it's a green tile at the bottom of the page. You can also just go to raleighnc.gov and then search for Small Business Insights, and it should take you to the same place. And the way you use it is fairly simple. You just type in, and this is a tool for both startups and businesses that may be in business just trying to figure out how to run their business better. But let's just go ahead and use restaurants as an example. And it's designed so it's mostly, in English. You don't have to use some arcane government terminology. So let's see, you've got a restaurant. I'm just going to put all of Raleigh. I believe you can put more specific like street addresses in here, but I know that the city one works. Full disclosure, we are still getting used to this tool ourselves. We have just put it online, like I say, in the last month or so. So please be gentle with your criticism of my workmanship here, because we're all learning it together. But one thing I will tell you, I breezed by it on the landing page, is there is actually about an hour-long webinar that we had our technology partner, who are experts on this. They presented to the business community about a month ago, and a recording of that webinar is on the landing page. So it's an hour. So I understand that's a lot of time, but also know that everything you need to know about this tool is in that webinar. And what you're getting today is kind of a crash course version of the same webinar. So the tool is designed to do 4 basic functions. You can measure your business performance. So basically figure out whether you're making as much money as your competition, whether you're paying your staff as much as the competition, whether you're staffing up at similar levels as your competition. It also has a feature that allows you to map out where your most likely customers might be and how to find them. Along the same lines, how to do advertising. Clearly, this is designed for small businesses without giant advertising budgets, and most small businesses, your number one tool is going to be either direct email, direct mail, or social media. And even those can be quite expensive if you're not sure where you're targeting your audience. So there are some capabilities here to help you with that. And then also just some general demographics that may help you figure out where your employees can come from and how to do outreach into the community. So let's start with the first module first. And what we're going to do is just make up some numbers along the way. And I happen to know this one was already pretty close. So we're going to say, and I'm just going to pretend I'm a small business owner here. So what I did was before the session here, I preloaded a couple numbers, but let's just go ahead and let's put a fresh number in there just so you know that you can change it. It'll show you kind of the percentile of where you would fall, I guess, nationally. And it'll compare where your business is with the city of Raleigh. It also looks at Durham, Wake County, the Durham Chapel Hill Metro, North Carolina, in the United States. So you can see that as far as the restaurant, if you're located in the city of Raleigh, you might have some opportunity to grow your revenue with some different strategies. It also gives you a heat map of where the different restaurants are making the different revenue levels. And let me stop here by the first question that people usually ask is, where's all this data coming from? So it's a combination of publicly available data, census information, maybe there's some statewide economic development studies that get published and are online. It uses that kind of data. It also uses commercially available data. So think of, your think tank reports that you would have to pay to be a subscriber of. It uses that kind of input. And then finally, this is all technology designed by our technology partner SizeUp, and they have some proprietary algorithms that they're able to take things down into a more granular level, doing things like Google searches, just scraping Google for business information, scraping other social media type business I guess appearances, and consolidating all of that information together into the tool. So like any tool, is 100% accurate? Nope, there's no way you can do that. But is it pretty close? Yes. And is it better than any other tool that a small business owner can find out there? I suspect that answer is yes as well. So so anyway, little side note there, and we'll just keep on going. So this shows you, the different zones where if apparently people up around Wake Forest drink a whole lot or eat a whole lot of food out at restaurants, they make a lot of money. And then you can also zoom in and out of the map if you want to find more, granular down to the street level where you might want to look at those kind of metrics. And we can just keep going. It gives you a little bit of advice, a little bit of context of what the numbers are telling you. You can also type in the year that your business got formed. This one I'm not sure is terribly critical, but again, it'll show you kind of a graph of nationally what kind of growth has been over the past several years, and then locally what that looks like. I think there's a way you can filter out the national ones so all the other ones aren't just flat lines at the bottom, but I'd have to go back and remember how to do that. But anyway, information is there. And again, it just gives you some context. I just made up a salary number. Let's say your average worker in your restaurant is making $25,000. It'll show you how that kind of stacks up with the other surrounding communities. Actually is pretty close. It'll show you where the different salary levels are located, statewide. So to the answer question we had earlier about, who do we serve? We serve the city of Raleigh right in the middle of that map, but you can see a tool like this. You can, there's no law that says you can't go into this tool and observe different things about your location as well if you don't happen to be in the city of Raleigh. And again, you can zoom in and out and get it down to the a more granular level. More context, more information, hourly wage. Here, maybe you want to type in your wait staff. Maybe you want to type in your cook in the back. And then down here, it'll give you some more information about, the hourly wage that is typical in the area for the different kind of jobs. You can put up to 3 different jobs down there. And then, if you want to look at a 4th one, no big deal. You just go back and change one of the inputs that you put into the tool. Number of employees. Clearly my restaurant is in trouble because I only have 3 people, and now I can come to the tool and find out, wow, I need to hire a whole bunch more people to make this business work. So let's go ahead and make it closer to 15 people for my restaurant. And I'm still a little bit on the short end, but I know that, 3 of the people are really hard workers, so they can make it work. Average employees, the average number of employees, again, by count, you can zoom in and out and see how the different businesses size up there. Resources, it gives you ideas of where you can post for jobs and where you might want to look. And then finally, let's see, employees per capita. This will show you, I guess, just regionally how many employees you can hope to find in a particular geography. Let's see, cost effectiveness, we're a little above average, I guess, since we don't have as many employees as some of the other places. We have more heat maps, anyway, so on and so forth, revenue per capita. So just tons and tons of different information that you can get in here and really explore and understand where your businesses might be. You can get into more detailed stuff about if you're paying healthcare, how that compares to your competition, your opening hours. This is, let's see, total open hours. So let's say your restaurant is open 40 hours a week. And survey says, so this would be a good way to find out, wow, I need to keep my restaurant open a lot more if I'm going to be competitive with my with the other restaurants in the area. And it will also give you kind of ranges of when different people are open. So if you're just starting a business and you're not even sure when you should open, it'll give you an idea of when might be a good time to open your business. It'll allow you to put in your social media in there, and it will give you feedback. Like for instance, if you're a restaurant and you don't have LinkedIn, it will come back and basically tell you, yeah, most restaurants don't have LinkedIn. Don't lose any sleep over this, because the other precious resource for a small business is time, and you don't want to have to feed all of these different beasts if they're not giving you value. So that's how the competitive analysis module works. And then I'm still on that landing page. So the webinar, like I was mentioning, is at the very bottom of the page if you just keep scrolling down. So that's the first of the 4 modules. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I'll pause there and just see if there's any questions or comments along the way. All right. Next, it has the competition module. It'll come up with the other restaurants in the area. Let's see, it does let us do it on a map. So you can, I believe I can scroll in and out with this as well. So you can, if you're a restaurant, you're trying to figure out where all the other restaurants are. Maybe you want to be where the other restaurants are because people are already going there to eat. Maybe you want to be someplace where they aren't, but this will help you figure out where your competition is located. And again, we're just using restaurants. If you have a different line of business, retail, professional services, what have you, the same principles would apply. Let's see, for customers, it'll do some data analysis of where likely customers might be. I don't think this is where I want to be here. This, for the customers and suppliers, I may have to refer you to the webinar for that, because I don't remember exactly how that worked. Let me just take a wild stab at this. So if you're a restaurant, you're probably going to need food services for restaurants, commercial. So yeah, maybe that's one. So it'll show you who some of the suppliers are around the area. So if you're actually a supplier of restaurant equipment, you might want to use the restaurant size up small business insights tool to figure out where your restaurant supplier competition might be. Anyway, you get the idea. And again, my apologies for not being a complete expert on the tool yet, but we're trying to learn very quickly. Advertising, for this section here, this is going to break down different areas of the city down by revenue of the people that live there. So you can figure out, you know, if you're in a discount sandwich type of restaurant, you may not be terribly worried about the real high-end incomes. You might be targeting more mid-range or whatever. If you're fine dining, then you might want to locate closer to the areas that have the higher incomes. That would be one example of how to use this particular part of the tool. And then finally, let's see, demographics. This tool will allow you to figure out, you know, a little more information about your demographics. It also has consumer expenditures, labor force, and in here, I believe that they showed us a way you can even draw, you know, like polygons. If you're just planning to operate in one particular neighborhood, there's a way that you can just define one small zone, but you can, you know, if you're selling women's clothing, for example, you might be more interested in where the female shoppers are. If you are interested in, you know, just pick an age group, that'll tell you where the age, that particular set of ages would be located. So on and so forth. So you can get an idea of all these different types of metrics. And again, these were all forms of data that in the past you had to be a Fortune 500 company working with, you know, one of the big accounting firms to get this kind of market data. What we're hoping to do is be able to provide all of this with this tool to small businesses at no cost, 24/7 at your convenience, whenever you want to log into it and just mess around with it. So you have access to a lot of the same kind of information and level the playing field a little bit with the big shops out there. So it looks like we've got about 15 minutes to go. And that is probably sufficient to give you a flavor of what the tool does. But let me pause here and just see if there's any Q&A that we can either run with or you know, take a note of and get back to y'all after the session.
Hillary said his group can go to conference room 1 if you guys need this room.
All right, thank you.
No.
All right. So anyway, that is everything, and apparently we can go over time if you need to in the room here. But let me go ahead and see if I can stop the screen sharing so I can see everybody. But any questions, any observations, anything that we can help you with? And it doesn't need to be just about the tool, but is there anything else from a city perspective that maybe we haven't covered, or anything else we can share with you today as a resource? I think I put them to sleep, Carl.
Or you did a great job explaining.
You know,
But anyway, that's what we've got for you today.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate all of your help. I thought that was a great presentation. You didn't put me to sleep. But I've learned a lot, and I know where I can find things on your website now. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, if not, that's all right. I can always email y'all if there are any questions, and we'll be putting this on our website as well, with y'all's contact information, if that's okay with you.
That is wonderful. And again, it's raleighnc.gov/ or raleighnc.gov. Just search for small business and it will take you right to all of our stuff. And we have some new things on the horizon we're working on, obviously, to flesh out the events calendar and other resources to come. So stay tuned, and we do speak with our friends at Shop Local Raleigh at a minimum monthly at our roundup of all the business alliances. We meet once a month to compare notes and collaborate. But you all are involved with a really strong advocating organization, those of you that are members of Shop Local Raleigh. So just know that we have definitely a hotline that we work pretty frequently with our friends at Shop Local Raleigh. So if you ever have a question for us and you're not sure who to call here, I'm sure Shop Local Raleigh can help direct traffic, or you're always welcome to give us a holler here with the city. So I'll thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure. And thank you for all you do as small businesses in the city of Raleigh that give it, you're the heart and soul of what we do and why people come here and put us at the top of their lists all the time. So you're the ones doing the hard work. We just try to provide some information to make it a little less hard for you. And thank you very much, Sarah, for inviting us today.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll sign
Thanks,
off.
guys.
Oh, yes, thank you.